used. Colostrum is excellent for repairing and healing the gut.
All natural. Unlike other brands, Cowboy Colostrum is never diluted. It always comes directly from American grass-fed cows. There's no filter.
After researching, I decided to go with Cowboy Colostrum to incorporate into my diet. There are many health benefits, including supporting gut health.
In the last year, a curious pattern has emerged. A single supplement, colostrum, has leapt from the world of dairy farms to wellness influencers, podcasts, TikTok recipes, and glossy magazine headlines. Energy, gut health, glowing skin, muscle gains. Depending on who you ask, colostrum is either the secret humans forgot or just the latest expensive powder on your shelf. But here's the thing. While everyone's talking about what it can do, almost no one is asking why this sudden surge happened, how the science actually stacks up, or what's quietly lost between the farm and your smoothie. Today we're going to unpack that story, from how colostrum is collected and processed, to the origins of its marketing hype, to what really happens when it hits your digestive system. And along the way, we'll look at how repetition, authority, and fast thinking make trends like this feel inevitable, even when the evidence is a lot messier. Before we get into the hype, let's start with the basics. Colostrum is the first milk produced by mammals in the hours after giving birth. It's thick, golden, and absolutely packed with nutrients, antibodies, and growth factors. For newborn calves, it's their immune system starter kit, transferring essential antibodies, especially IgG, that the calf can't get through the placenta. Without it, they're vulnerable to infections and far less likely to survive. When supplement companies talk about colostrum, they're usually referring to bovine colostrum, collected from dairy cows within the first few hours after calving.
Here's one thing. You don't have to settle for feeling like garbage 24/7. Armor Colostrum is nature's original health hack, packed with over 400 bioactive nutrients that ignited our metabolism, vitalized hair growth, enhanced skin radius, fueled. It's not beef colostrum or breast milk or milk. It's bovine colostrum. We don't boost your immunity. We balance.
And just to clear up a surprisingly common point of confusion, bovine means from cows. It's not beef. No one is drying out steaks and turning them into powder. Now, how does something that starts in the udder end up in a jar on your kitchen counter? Most companies collect the colostrum within 4 to 6 hours after birth, sometimes sooner, claiming that the calf still receives what it needs before collection begins. In many cases, the colostrum is pooled, tested for antibody levels, and then pasteurized. Ethical practices vary. Some producers make sure cows receive an adequate volume first and test IgG levels to confirm, while others rely on standardized collection protocols without always reporting how calf nutrition is guaranteed. The collected colostrum is then spray-dried or freeze-dried into powder. Each method has trade-offs. Spray drying is cheaper and faster, but involves higher heat, which can degrade sensitive components. Freeze drying is gentler, but more expensive, so not all companies use it. Add some flavoring, packaging, a healthy dose of marketing language, and you've got the modern colostrum supplement. Like many supplement trends, colostrum didn't burst onto the scene overnight. Its modern story starts in the 1990s, not in a lab, but in the bodybuilding world, where people are always looking for the next edge. One of the first big players was a company called Body Boost, run by Stan Carlson, who had deep ties to the supplement industry. They didn't just launch a product, they helped fund the research that would give it scientific shine. In 1997, Antonio et al. Published one of the first human studies on bovine colostrum supplementation. Sponsored by the company itself, the study involved healthy, resistance-trained men. Over 8 weeks, participants who took colostrum showed slightly greater improvements in lean body mass and strength compared to those on a placebo. It was a small study, fewer than 30 people, but its timing was perfect. The fitness world was hungry for legal performance enhancers after the steroid crackdowns of the late 80s and early 90s. Even modest results were enough to light the marketing fuse. Soon after, Symbiotics, another early brand, jumped into the mix, promoting colostrum as a natural alternative that could boost muscle growth, recovery, and immune function. Ads appeared in bodybuilding magazines and health publications, making claims that far outpaced the evidence. What started as a niche supplement for gym enthusiasts slowly expanded beyond the weight room. By the early 2000s, colostrum was being marketed for everything from gut health to immune support for everyday consumers, the language shifting from gain muscle to support your natural defenses. And that shift set the stage for the ideological and media split we see today. The same product reframed for different audiences: performance seekers, wellness consumers, parents, biohackers, each group hearing a different story tailored to their worldview. The colostrum boom didn't happen in a vacuum. It grew inside a media ecosystem where loud, confident voices shape perception, and most of us don't realize how much that influences us. Picture a bell curve. At the edges are the ideological extremes, the loudest commentators, whether mainstream or independent, each presenting confident, simplified narratives. One side might package colostrum as the next frontier of wellness, leaning on ancestral health stories and influencer testimony. Another might frame it as a promising but unproven consumer trend filtered through regulatory or medical commentary. Neither is inherently better, but both are amplified far beyond their proportion of the population. Now look at the middle of the curve. That's where most people actually sit. They're not hardcore biohackers or policy wonks. They might catch a podcast ad during their commute, see a headline scroll by, hear a friend say it helped their gut, and before long, the idea feels familiar and trustworthy. That's the real story. Repetition plus authority plus emotional resonance, not ideology alone. Whether the messenger is a TV anchor, a podcaster, or a ripped influencer, the combination of confidence and familiarity makes claims sticky. This is why you'll meet people from every ideological background trying colostrum. It's not that they've read the studies, it's that the loudest voices at the edges shape the conversation they absorbed, often without noticing it. The bell curve helps make sense of this. The middle majority hears amplified extremes, and our fast-thinking brains do the rest. This isn't about mocking either end, it's about seeing the mechanism that drives supplement trends again and again. Colostrum sounds impressive on paper. It contains immunoglobulins like IgG, lactoferrin, growth factors, antimicrobial peptides, and a variety of bioactive molecules that are critical for newborn calves. But what happens when you, an adult human with a fully developed gut and decades of digestion, scoop it into your morning smoothie? Let's follow it through. Step 1 is the stomach. The adult stomach acid sits around a pH of 1.5 to 3.5, a pretty hostile environment for delicate proteins. Studies show that anywhere from 30 to 50% of colostral immunoglobulins can be denatured or degraded right here before they even reach the small intestine. Growth factors and peptides are also vulnerable to acid and proteolytic enzymes like pepsin. Step 2, the small intestine. Whatever survives the stomach faces trypsin, chymotrypsin, and other digestive enzymes. Some small fragments may remain bioactive, but large intact molecules like IgG are mostly broken down into amino acids or small peptides, just like any other protein. Step 3, absorption. Newborn calves have a short window after birth where their gut allows large molecules, like antibodies, to pass directly into circulation. Adult humans don't. Our intestinal lining is selective, absorbing broken down nutrients rather than whole proteins. A small fraction of certain bioactive peptides may exert local effects in the gut lumen, but systemic absorption of intact IgG in adults is minimal to negligible. So does anything make it through? Yes, a few components can have local effects in the GI tract, particularly on gut immunity or microbial balance, but this depends on how the powder was processed, your digestive environment, and what else you're taking. And here's another wrinkle. The average adult takes multiple medications, acid reducers, NSAIDs, antibiotics, supplements, all of which can alter stomach pH, enzyme activity, or gut permeability. That can further degrade colostrum components or change how they interact with your gut. High stomach acid alone is enough to destroy a good portion before it even gets a chance to work. Nutrient status matters too. If your gut is inflamed, your protein intake is low, or your microbiome is out of balance, even the bits that survive may not be absorbed or utilized effectively. So while the marketing suggests a straight line, you take colostrum, it boosts your immune system. The reality is more like a crowded intersection with traffic lights, detours, and a lot of passengers who never make it to the final stop. This is where the story shifts from what colostrum is to how we think about it. If you line up the marketing claims beside the actual evidence, the gap becomes clear. The studies are mostly small, short, often company-funded, and usually focused on specific populations, like elite athletes or people with gut damage. Some show modest benefits, others show no effect. But the marketing, that's where things speed up. A slight improvement in gut permeability becomes heals your gut. A small lean mass gain in athletes becomes build muscle effortlessly. Local immune effects in the gut are recast as supercharge your immune system. This is System 1 territory. Fast, intuitive thinking. It's emotionally compelling. It tells a story that fits our hopes, fears, or identity. System 2, the slower, analytical part of our minds, asks harder questions. Who was studied? How strong is the evidence? Does this apply to me or just to a small group in a controlled setting? What trade-offs or limits exist? Both systems are useful, but supplement marketing is designed to light up System 1 first because that's how decisions get made quickly. And then ideology steps in. Some people, especially those who distrust institutions or value natural approaches, may jump at colostrum as a way to take control of their health. Others who lean on institutional trust may dismiss it out of hand, assuming anything outside conventional medicine is snake oil. Both reactions are understandable shortcuts, but neither is discernment. Discernment, the habit we talked about in episode 1, is what happens when you pause between the emotional reaction and the decision. It's asking, what's actually true here? What applies to me? What doesn't? So, is colostrum worth buying or trying? Maybe. For some people, in some contexts, it could have modest gut or immune benefits. For others, it may not do much at all. The point isn't to say yes or no for everyone. It's to make sure your slow brain is at the table when you decide, not just your gut reaction, your ideology, or someone else's marketing copy. At this point, it's easy to get swept up in the should I or shouldn't I about colostrum. But sometimes the clearest perspective comes from stepping back. Because here's the thing, you can't buy your way to the basics. No powder, no matter how golden, will outdo consistent sleep, good food, regular movement, and stress that's actually managed, not just ignored. The core claims made about colostrum, gut health, immune support, energy, recovery, are all things that your body already does better when those foundations are in place. It's not that supplements are pointless, it's that they work best, if they work at all, on top of solid foundations, not instead of them. And this is where slow thinking really pays off. It's easier to buy something promising than it is to sleep 8 hours, move every day, and feed your microbiome. Marketing knows this, but your physiology doesn't care. So before you reach for a scoop, it's worth asking, am I chasing a shortcut or building a foundation? When we step back, colostrum isn't just a story about one supplement. It's a story about how trends spread, how ideology shapes interpretation, and how our fast-thinking brains love confident claims more than careful nuance. Marketing lights up our instincts. Media amplifies the loudest voices. And somewhere in the middle, most of us are just trying to make good choices in a noisy world. That's where discernment comes in. It's the pause between the promise and the purchase. It's letting your slow brain catch up to your fast one. Colostrum might have a place for some people in some contexts, but its hype cycle is a perfect example of why slowing down, asking who, what, and how matters. If you found this helpful, take a second to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps more people find thoughtful conversations like this. This episode is part of the Beyond the Headlines series, where we unpack the forces shaping health decisions, from supplements to policy to psychology. If you missed episode 1, that's where I break down how fast and slow thinking shape our health choices. It's the foundation for everything we explored here. You can find it linked on screen and in the description. And if you've ever caught yourself reacting fast to a health claim before digging deeper, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.